The cry in the night. It begins with the sound of a child crying. Not a whimper, not a call for attention. But that breath-snapping kind of cry that yanks a parent from sleep before their mind even catches up. Aaliyah's eyes snapped open to the glow of her baby monitor. The digital clock beside her read 2:47 a.m. For a moment she thought her daughter, Cora, was having another one of those night terror episodes the pediatrician said would pass. But when she reached for her phone and checked the camera, Cora wasn't in her bed anymore. A streak of panic hit her chest. Moments later, tiny footsteps padded down the hall. Cora burst through the doorway, face pale, eyes glossy with tears. "Mommy, the door moved!" she sobbed. Aaliyah gathered her up, rubbing circles on her back, whispering the same words every parent does, "It's okay, sweetheart. Mommy's here." But Cora's trembling didn't stop. Her small hands clutched at Aaliyah's shirt like she was afraid of being pulled back by something unseen. Wanting to document the episode for the doctor, Aaliyah switched her phone to video and began recording. She expected another routine clip of sleep-talking or fear-confusion. Instead, she caught something she would replay hundreds of times afterward. The footage begins simple: Cora on her mother's lap, her breath hiccuping between soft cries. Aaliyah's voice is calm, tired, half-whispering. "You're safe, Pickle. Look, Mommy's here. See? It's just the vent." She pans the camera toward the half-open bedroom door. The light from the hallway spills in just enough to show the door gently rocking forward, then stilling. "That's just the air, baby," she assures. But a soft thunk follows. Then silence. Cora stiffens. Her head turns toward the window shutters. "What's wrong, Cora?" The phone lens shifts again, shaky now, catching the blinds. For a fraction of a second nothing moves. Then, clack! Every shutter slams shut at once. The sound is sharp, wooden, simultaneous, as though someone yanked all four rods at the same instant. Cora screams. Aaliyah gasps. The phone jolts sideways, capturing only a blur of carpet and shadows as they rush out of the room. The video ends with the echo of Aaliyah's footsteps down the hall. By morning, exhaustion mixed with disbelief, Aaliyah replayed the footage again and again, hoping to find some mechanical reason, a breeze, a string, anything. But the shutters were manual. No batteries. No remote control. To prove it to herself, she set up the camera again, daylight pouring through the same window. "You have to pull these rods individually," she said into her phone. She demonstrated each one, the effort visible in her arm as she tugged. "See? There's no way for all four to move at the same time." The clip might have ended there. But as she spoke, the door behind her creaked. She laughed nervously, brushed it off. "Probably the vent again," she said, turning back to face the camera. The door moved again. This time, slower. More deliberate. She froze. "Wait, the AC isn't even on." Her phone mic captured the faint hum of silence, not the usual whoosh of air conditioning. In fact, the air system hadn't started all morning. When she finally turned it on to test, the vent roared so loudly the difference was obvious. Whatever pushed that door wasn't air. The realization landed like ice in her stomach. That evening, she posted a short update for family and friends, her voice steadier than she felt. "If it wasn't the vent, and it wasn't the wind," she said, "then what was it?" Comments poured in. Some blamed pressure shifts, others suggested string drafts. But one message stood out, from a viewer claiming to study infrared footage. "Check your reflection. Something passes behind you at the second shutter slam." Aaliyah hadn't noticed before. When she paused the clip at that exact frame, her reflection in the dark window showed two figures, hers, and a smaller one standing just behind her shoulder. But Cora had been in her arms the entire time. That night, Aaliyah locked the bedroom door, moved her daughter's blankets into her own room, and left every light in the hallway on. She told herself it was temporary, just until she could understand what happened. Still, before she drifted off, she thought she heard a faint tapping against the shutters again. 4 slow, deliberate knocks, each one in perfect rhythm, as though answering the sound from the night before. The camera light blinked red once. Then everything went dark. The door that wouldn't stay closed. The next morning brought no comfort. Sunlight usually softened the unease of a sleepless night, but not this time. The house still felt wrong, a coldness that lingered beneath the hum of morning birds and the smell of coffee. Aaliyah hadn't slept more than an hour. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the shutters slamming again, the motion so forceful, so synchronized, that it seemed almost rehearsed. Cora sat quietly at the kitchen table, spooning cereal without touching it. Her usual chatter was gone. When Aaliyah asked how she felt, her daughter's only reply was a whisper. "She told me not to look out the window." The words froze Aaliyah's hands midair. "She?" Cora shrugged, her little voice cracking. "The lady with the hair on her face." Aaliyah wanted to dismiss it, the remnants of a nightmare, maybe an image from a cartoon, but her chest felt tight. Still, she had a plan. If logic couldn't soothe her fear, maybe proof could. She walked back to the bedroom, holding her phone like a weapon. The curtains were still drawn tight, faint morning light leaking through the edges. She pressed record. "Okay," she muttered. "We're doing this again." The camera captured her testing every possible cause. She opened and closed the door multiple times. She tugged on the blinds one by one. Everything was still. Nothing abnormal. And then, just as she began explaining the air vent theory again, the door behind her creaked. At first, she didn't turn around. She just froze, her breath catching, her reflection on the window barely moving. The door creaked again, louder this time, as if being nudged from the other side. Aaliyah's voice trembled. "There's no airflow. The AC's off. Look, you can hear it now." She flipped the switch on the thermostat. The sudden roar of the vent filled the silence. "See? That's how it sounds when it's on. It wasn't like that before." The video continued rolling as she spoke, unaware that the door slowly began to close behind her, inch by inch, until it clicked shut. She didn't notice until she turned. When she did, she gasped so sharply that the sound distorted the audio. "No, no, no, no!" The door was fully closed. She dropped the phone for a moment, her heartbeat loud enough to echo in her ears. Then she forced herself to pick it up, her voice whispering shakily. That just closed by itself." Later that afternoon, she played the footage back frame by frame. There were no strings, no drafts, no trick lighting. Just the door, moving. But there was something else too. Right before it closed completely, the reflection of the hallway mirror caught something faint, like a shadow stepping past, but not cast by any visible person. That evening, she called her sister, Lena, who lived across town. "It's probably nothing," Aaliyah said, though her tone betrayed her. "Maybe I'm tired. Maybe the house settled weird." Lena didn't sound convinced. "You should stay somewhere else for a few nights. Houses don't move their own doors." Aaliyah laughed nervously. "You sound like one of the YouTube comments." But by midnight, she wasn't laughing anymore. She'd put Cora to bed in her own room again, hoping routine might calm her. The monitor screen glowed faintly beside Aaliyah's pillow. For a while, everything was quiet. Then came the chime. Motion detected, bedroom camera. Her stomach dropped. She sat up, grabbed her phone. The image loaded grainy and gray, her daughter's room, still except for the soft flicker of the night light. And then movement. Something near the shutters. The slats trembled, as if brushed by a draft. A second later, the camera mic caught the faint creak of the door hinge. Cora sat up in bed. Her tiny voice whispered, barely audible. "Go away." Aaliyah bolted from her room, the phone shaking in her hand. When she reached the door, she found Cora sitting upright, eyes fixed on the window. The shutters were wide open now, every single one. Outside, the yard was still. The motion light hadn't triggered. Aaliyah scooped her daughter into her arms, whispering, "You're okay, baby, you're okay." But her hands were trembling. Behind them, the door to the hallway started to close again. Slowly. Quietly. As it did, a small gust of air brushed past them, cold, deliberate, almost like a breath. Aaliyah turned off the light and hurried out, slamming the door shut behind her. Later, when she reviewed the footage again, she noticed something she hadn't seen in real time. In the split second before the door moved, a faint whisper bled through the audio, too quiet to make out, but rhythmic, like the sound of someone humming an old lullaby. The same melody Cora used to hum before bed. The final recording. By the third night, the house no longer felt like home. Every creak carried intent, every shadow seemed to pause before moving again. Aaliyah hadn't eaten. Cora hadn't smiled. The small townhouse that once smelled of lavender candles now reeked of unease, the kind that seeps into the drywall. Aaliyah had planned to leave in the morning. Bags were packed by the door. She only needed one more thing: closure. That evening, she decided to film a final video. Not for social media, not even for the doctor, but for herself. Proof that what happened here wasn't just in her mind. She placed her phone on the dresser, camera facing the door and window, the same frame that had caught everything before. The red recording light blinked. "Okay," she whispered to the empty room. "Last night in this house." The silence that followed wasn't empty. It felt aware. At 10:14 p.m., she begins narrating what she's doing, showing the thermostat off, the vents quiet, the shutters open. She walks around the room once, her reflection appearing faintly in the dark glass. "I'm gonna sit right here," she says, lowering herself to the edge of the bed. "If anything happens again, I'll have it on record." Minutes pass. Only the faint hum of the refrigerator from the kitchen filters through. Then a soft knock 3 times, against the wall near the window. Aaliyah looks up sharply. "No way," she mutters, half to the camera, half to the air. The shutters begin to move. Not slamming this time, swaying, back and forth, as if caught between open and closed. A rhythmic flutter, almost like breathing. Her voice trembles. "You need to stop. Please stop." The motion pauses. Then, in a low groan of wood and metal, the door across the room creaks open a few inches. Cora calls from down the hall, sleepy and afraid. "Mommy, someone's singing." Aaliyah rushes out of frame. The camera keeps rolling. From the hallway mic, faint humming echoes, the same lullaby from the previous night. Gentle. Off-key. Too slow for a child's voice. Aaliyah returns, holding Cora in her arms. She's pale, trembling. "We're leaving," she whispers. She turns to grab her keys, and the door slams shut behind them. The camera shakes as Aaliyah spins, fumbling with the knob. "It's stuck." The latch clicks twice on its own, once, twice, then silence. She lifts her daughter higher, pressing her against her shoulder. "It's okay, baby, Mommy's here." Her voice cracks. "Mommy's here." Then the light above them flickers. The camera struggles to adjust, overexposing the scene in bursts. In one of those flashes, for just a single frame, a shape appears in the reflection of the window, faint, human-sized, its head tilted. When the light steadies, it's gone. Aaliyah forces the door open at last and disappears into the hall. The phone remains on the dresser, still recording the empty room. For almost a minute, nothing happens. Only the ticking of the wall clock and the sound of rain starting outside. Then, movement again. The shutters close, one by one, in sequence this time. Left. Middle. Right. Click. 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 The final shutter hesitates halfway, as if something unseen is still standing behind it. The room goes still. And then, a whisper near the microphone. "Don't forget me." The next clip on Aaliyah's phone, timestamped the following morning, shows police officers moving through the house. No sign of forced entry. No explanation. The video from the previous night is filed as unexplained mechanical malfunction. Aaliyah and Cora stayed at her sister's house afterward. She posted one final update days later. "We're safe now. But the house still has power even though I cut the breaker before we left. The neighbor says the lights turn on at 2:47 a.m. She ends the post with a nervous laugh and a thank you to everyone who reached out. She never records another update. Months later, the property was listed for sale. A real estate agent filmed a quick tour for an online listing. In the background of that video, viewers noticed something subtle: the same set of shutters, fully closed, slowly opening by themselves as the agent walks past. He didn't notice. But the viewers did. And at the end of the clip, when the agent turns off the lights, the camera catches one last reflection in the dark window glass, a faint silhouette of a woman holding a child, both staring back at the lens. The timestamp? 2:47 a.m.